hello to you all out there. This is your old friend Eddy Mailbag, and I'd like to welcome you to a special edition of The Roar. I was thinking just recently, and I came to a stunning realization. Even if you figured out the meaning of life, the universe and everything, well, what does it really all mean? Sorry about that. I do digress. Well, on with the show.
Sono lieto di poter rievocare in poche parole le esperienze delle prime trasmissioni radiotelegrafiche a grandi distanze da me felicemente eseguite attraverso l'Oceano Atlantico il 12 dicembre 1901.
Heilige schnauzenden Busenhalterträger.
It's a podcast.
Republic of Avalon Radio. It's 0 hours, Avalon Standard Time.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Well, happy birthday, Mr. Jim. Happy birthday to you. I was gonna, do some kind of really cool halfway creative line, but I completely lost it. But I just wanted to say that I hope you have a truly happy birthday, and may this year be your best yet. All right, take care. Happy birthday, a wise one.
Hi, this is Amanda from New York City.
This is Larry Scootcon.
Hey Jim, this is Bill Ballou in Ashland, Oregon.
Hi, I'm Bob McDonald, the science guy from CBC's Quirks and Quarks.
This is Jamie Stevens in Car 13 and Newfound Cabs.
Hey there, this is Georgia from Caribbean Free Radio in Trinidad and Tobago.
I'm Angela Antle, host of the Weekend Arts Magazine on CBC Radio.
Hi, I'm Christopher Peter McCann from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
Hey Jim, what's going on? This is Chris Trapper calling from Philadelphia.
Hi, this is Jim Fidler from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania.
This is Rick Dalton from New Alexandria, PA.
Hi, this is Darrah from Dublin.
Hi, my name is Debbie Gillespie from Toronto, Canada.
Hi, Jim. This is Carrie Thomson from Columbus, Ohio.
Hey, this is Dennis Brice from Florida.
Hi, this is Eddy Grant.
I am Eddy Holder from Gyanna.
Hi, folks. This is Eddy Bogle from Australia via Scotland.
Hi, my name is Glynne Murray. I'm Barbados' High Commissioner to Canada. I'm based in Ottawa.
Hey, this is Hope Povenmire from the Audio Mirror Podcast.
Hi, this is Indra. I'm from Barbados, Christchurch.
Hello, Jim, and hello, Lillian. This is Jay Wilson in Los Angeles, California.
Hi, folks. John Monroe here from the Eric Bogle Band and from Colcannon from Australia via Scotland.
Hi, good morning, listeners. My name is Junior Parris. I'm an artist from Barbados.
This is Kevin Doucet from Alabama.
This is Kevin from Ohio.
My name's Lonnie Antle, and I'm from Barbados.
This is Mike Bustum from Vienna, Austria.
This is Monica from Austria.
Hi, this is Nancy from Victoria, BC.
Hi, this is Pamela Morgan.
Hi, Jim and Lillian. It's Rick Cave calling. I'm calling from the oil tanker Heather Nathan. We're currently offshore in Algeria, Africa.
Hey, everybody. This is Slough.
This is Tara Dove, and I'm a Townie and a Bateman.
Hi, this is Tim and Lou from Lakeville, Minnesota.
Hello there. Here is MC from the VDC Scene From Here podcast. Podcasting from Montreal.
This is David Dalton from Lakeview, Newfoundland.
Hi, this is Ryan Gates in England.
This is Anne from Philly.
Greetings from New Zealand. This is Murray Whittington from Hastings, New Zealand.
Hi, Jim and Lillian. Trucker Bob here. Just wanted to wish the Roar a happy 5th birthday. Thanks a lot for so much listening pleasure while I'm driving across North America. Take care.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
You're with the Roar!
Yes, so here we are. And it is indeed birthday 5 for the Roar. I'm going to not put my T on Lillian's notes here. We actually took a few notes. And we're kind of taking a lazy approach to recording here. See, this is the double-barrel birthday cast. So it's the Roar's birthday and it's my birthday. So the Roar's birthday, of course, is past, and mine as well, just recently. So this weekend has been just kind of really relaxing, taking it easy, and not really, doing anything too terribly strenuous. And just then we got some takeaway. Yes.
It's a thrill a minute here.
It's a thrill a minute, folks. Yes, indeed. We got some takeaway from up the hill, and some fish and chips and chicken and chips and almost everything nice with chips. Macaroni, rice and peas. No, we didn't get macaroni, rice and peas, but
get coleslaw.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that though. But yeah, and then we had some strawberry shortcake that Lillian made for me for my birthday. Mm-hmm. And that was very yummy. And now we're just having a cup of tea, and I will sip it. Oh, Lillian will too.
Double sippage.
Simultaneous sippage. Yeah. So yeah. Well, it's kind of funny when you think about it. Okay, so how does it feel, or how do we feel, or what do we think about this whole thing? The Republic of Avalon Radio, 5 years old. What does it mean? What's it all about? I don't know. I mean, what do I feel? Listening back over some of the older stuff and thinking about the show and getting it together, really, I must say, rekindled a lot of stuff for me. It was stuff that you just forget about. And I remember that very vibrant time when we had thousands and thousands of listeners.
Yeah, we were up. I remember when it was 7,000 listeners, and then it was going up.
It was way beyond that.
Yeah, we were looking at the show notes from way back.
Yeah, but it went way higher than that.
Yeah, and it made me realize how much we were actually doing in our lives then too. We were gone mad.
Yeah, but I mean, we're always doing stuff, but we're not always, making a journal of it as much. Yeah,
And the other thing I guess we realized is that we have a whole missing year when we didn't, with the Roar, it's like a journal of our lives. So we can go back and know everything that we were doing. But that 1 year that we didn't do a Roar, we have no idea what we did.
It was like the black hole in our lives. There's a time missing there. But we have talked about it, and I think what we're going to do, or we think what we're going to do, is we're going to do the Roar, the last episode. So we're going to get our recollections, piece back together that year, almost a year that we weren't roaring, and we'll get that together, and we'll do that year. Whatever stuff was going on, like what if we got some recordings there of some shows that I did or something like that. I do know that we did some walking around in that year. We went out walking around. It had been ages since we'd done a show, and it had been months, and so we're out walking around sort of trying to do the thing, and just never made it. It never made it. It was just thrown in the basket. I think I got some of that kicking around, and plus we'll go back and look at what we did that year, and we'll actually tell you guys about what we were up to and so on. So yeah, we're thinking about, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the last episode. And why wouldn't we?
Why not?
Yes, because it would be annoying for us, I think, to have to go back at some point in the distant future and realize that there's a whole year gap there, and try to remember our old withered brains at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be weird to have one whole year
missing.
Like one year blanked out of your memory.
Yeah. So we're gonna reconstruct that missing year of roaring, and get out a roar. By the way, like I said, I'm taking a bit of a lazy approach here on the recording. Hope this is all right. Using the portable recorder, the Eddy R9, and we're actually in the studio in the root cellar. But I was just too lazy to be hooking up a second microphone and routing and patching and routing and setting levels and second sets of headphones and fooling around. I just said, let's just take this little thing out and just hit record and start talking. So hopefully that's okay for you guys. The main idea is the content. Of course we do take a certain degree, or I should say I do. I'm not saying that Lillian doesn't, but left to our druthers, and when it comes down to that side of things, tends to be me who's the stickler, actually putting the show together, doing the editing, and sort of the processing and the sound of the show overall is something that's important to me. And so this is a lazy approach because we're celebrating. We're letting our hair down and kicking our feet. We're letting our feet down and kicking our hair up. Yes. And all that there. Sort of stiff and that. So 5 years, like I said, going back and looking over the stuff, bringing back a lot of memories, a lot of times when we had that big pile of listeners. Some of you are still there, and many more of you have moved on and gotten lives.
Yeah. Maybe there's some new listeners. Actually, I know that for sure there's at least one new listener.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of new listeners kicking around. And by the way, we would love to hear from you, so please do go over. If you weren't around in those days, back in 2005, 2006, whatever, in those first years when this whole thing was, when the whole concept of, podcasting, all that stuff was whatever, the big thing, the big rage, as they say. If you've come on board since then and you've never ever gotten in touch with us, definitely do it. Don't put it off. Don't fool yourself. Don't whatever. Go over to our website and get in touch with us. Of course, the website is republicofavalonradio.com. So go over there and just click on the Skype thing. If you have Skype, there's a button right on the page. You can just click on it and it'll just automatically bring you into Skype. It'll place the call, and there's a voicemail thing, and you can just send your shout out, record, whatever. Or even better, for some of you who have any portable recording devices or anything, just using your computer, anything, doesn't matter. Just record a little MP3 or a WAV file or whatever, and send it on to us.
We love to hear from you guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, right now, here we are thinking about this, 5th anniversary. We're really thinking, who the heck is still listening? And we would like to know.
Yeah. If
you're still
definitely
there, or if you're new, and the whole part about the posse, whatever you want to say. It does change. And some people will be, there at one point, and maybe a couple of years later not there. But I mean, if you've been listening to us for the last little while and you weren't there for the first while, you're up the priority ladder for sure. Yeah. So, indeed, get in touch with us. And back to the whole thing. 5 years, like. Well, what do you think? Okay, when I say the words to you, okay, we've been doing this thing here for 5 years now. What the heck? What?
Well, it doesn't seem like that long to me. I'm very happy that it has been 5 years and that we've stuck to it, except for that 1 year.
Yeah, we did have a hiatus, but we didn't give up.
No, and looking back, we went back over the show notes for all the shows since day one, just briefly skimming them, and it amazed me how many good shows there are. Like, there's a lot of excellent guests, musicians, and things that we did, road trips that we took, just interesting people and guests, and the production is something that I really noticed too, like you putting the shows together, maybe just going back over some of them, like we played certain parts of some of the shows, and you do an amazing job on that. So I think every one of them is like a a gem in itself. Every episode.
Well, you know, I do think of each show as almost like an album. You know, like a CD. You go out and you buy an album. But, you know, sometimes you have various types of content. You know, and usually when you think of a CD or an album, it's all music. But you know, but I think about it the same way. You know, I think about that kind of that concept that it's a beginning to end sort of listen thing. And I know, you know, we when we were doing the show when we first started, I think the idea was we were going to do one a week and they were going to be an hour, and I think I did that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But it became tedious, really. Part of it was just, it was a limitation. It was like a man-made, manufactured limitation.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, shows the show itself just wanted to be longer.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But there is another side of it too. I mean, people who listen, some people, well, for example, if you have a 30-minute commute every morning and every afternoon, you know, to get to work or whatever, then people who make 30-minute shows are your friend.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it so much easier for you to just listen, hit play as soon as you get on the bus, and not even pay attention. You don't even have to look out the window or anything. You just listen away, and then when the show is over, you know, you're like, you know, 1 or 2 minutes, or, you know, getting pretty close onto your stop or whatever, and you've heard the whole show, and you don't have to, you know, bookmark where you left off, or have to go back after to listen to the last, you know, 12 minutes or whatever, because they made it a 42-minute show or whatever. There is that side of it for the listener. You know, in the thinking back in the early days, what are we going to do with this? I found myself leaning the other way, leaning toward the longer show. I guess partially because part of what we do is this, you know, this walk, when we walk down to the pub and we're just walking on the street and talking to you guys, talking to ourselves, talking to each other, and talking to you guys. You know, how long is that walk? It's roughly about a half an hour, something like that.
Uh-huh.
So I suppose you could, like, let's say with that segment and the monologue and playing a couple of tunes, I don't know, maybe it could be doable to stay tight to like a 60-minute show. But then the whole idea of doing one a week, I don't know, sometimes the weather's not fit, especially during the winter. It's just not fit. I mean, you know, you can't walk on the streets. There's snow and slush, and, you know, it's just not physically possible for us to actually walk during the winter. Plus, it's kind of cold too in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
Not as cold as it is in some places, but, you know, it's damp and it's cold, and it's, you know, whatever. It might be -3 or something, but when it's -3 and the streets are all that's Celsius, by the way. What would that be? Probably like 28 or something like that, or 26, 28 Fahrenheit. You know, we're pretty steadily in that range in the wintertime here in the Republic of Avalon. Yeah, anywhere between, say, 25 and 35, in that range. That's a pretty steady range for us. It gets colder than that sometimes, but it's not a continental climate, so. But anyway, it's cold and you don't feel like it. You just don't feel like going out and walking. And the other side of it too is holding on to the machine. You know, when it's cold out, you got your hand held up, exposed. So I guess you'd have to have some kind of a big mitten on your hand, and then you can't really feel the machine very well, and you're going through all this slush. Anyway, we don't do it. That's the point. So if the show got formatted that way, if it became really tightly formatted that way, then of course that would be great for a very brief part of the year, and then the rest of the part of the year we'd have to do a whole different format. So it is very climate based. If we lived somewhere where the weather was pretty much, you know, all year round warm, didn't get any snow on the ground, whatever, yeah, we could probably do that kind of a format consistently, but we can't. So then the question is, well, what do you do? And after, I guess, a long time of working on the show and being, busy doing other things and living and all these things, it just got to the point for me where it just became painful. Like the whole thing, it was just kind of driving me nuts. And we had a particularly bad winter. That's when the whole thing stopped. It just I don't quite recall how that went. Or was it the winter after? Was it? Well, oh yeah, that's right. It was that winter because I just put out there was a New Year's Eve show, then there was one show, but everything went south. I lost a hard drive. I had 2 computers just completely let the smoke out of themselves, go south on me completely. I tried to dig myself out of that and decided I was going to get a laptop, and I got that and had to wait. It was supposed to be here within a week, and took 6 weeks to get here or something, or a month or something crazy like that. And by the time it did get here and I opened it up, it was broken. There was a key broken on it. And then they told me that if I wanted that key fixed, they couldn't just, these keys on these laptops, they just pop on like Lego blocks, and it was just the key that was broken. And these things cost maybe a half a cent each to make, and I just bought this, I'm sure, warranty, whatever. Well, I couldn't find the warrant. I couldn't find the serial number. I was on the phone with the tech support people, and I was looking right where they told us to look, on the bottom and here and there and whatever, so that I could register the darn thing and get some tech support. Well, nothing on that laptop that I got from Tiger Direct, by the way. There was nothing. I had no way of registering it and getting any sort of tech support or warranty or nothing. All the numbers that we read off weren't valid serial numbers and so on and so forth. So I don't know what was up with that. And the key was broken. And they wouldn't just send me a key in an envelope that I could just pop on and, okay, fine, I'm good to go. It was the G key, too. It wasn't some bizarre key, way up on the top that you would hardly ever use, I don't know, scroll lock or something like that. Print screen. How I could do without print screen, probably, So it was just one thing after another, and it was just a horrible winter weather-wise.
Yeah, and
it was one of those you see the snow piled right up.
Yeah. We weren't getting out a lot.
We weren't getting out a lot, and financially that winter was just we hit the wall. And it was just for myriad reasons, it was just we had nothing to say. And that's how it started. We sort of had no good news to share. We didn't want to just get on and whine and bellyache and whatever. But it was a real downtime for us, and so because of that, we got out of, I guess, the routine.
Yeah.
Once we got out of the routine, right around June, we tried to get ourselves back into it. But it was, it'd be...
Yeah. So it just kind of, it somehow just didn't feel right,
No. And what sparked us? What sparked us when we got around to I think I just sort of saw the time coming up where it was going to be a year.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to let it happen.
Yeah.
I didn't want a year to come and go.
Right.
So I just
exactly a year.
So I think I just pulled out the R9 and just I think that episode, what was it? I can't remember what it was called now. Something like, yeah, it's really true, or something like that,
Yeah, and the one the year earlier, the last one, was called April Foolishness.
Yeah.
And that was a crazy, crazy show.
Well, the funny thing, Lillian made some notes here of some shows, some memories. We just skimmed through all the show notes of all the episodes. And we made a note of some memorable things that we're going to mention here now, but in a strange, weird kind of way, I think that April Foolishness, could be, at least on some timeline, in some parallel universe somewhere, that could be my favorite episode.
Yeah.
I did a lot of that. I mean, it might just sound like complete utter foolishness, but if you go back and you listen to it, it's from April 2008, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And then nothing again until like April 2009.
Yeah, that's right.
This recording is a collection of unintended indiscretions before microphone and camera.
Hi, folks. Ugga, ugga, boo, ugga, boo, boo, ugga.
Unlock the Brackenbridge. We mach upon the strand. Our shoes and trousers, all a flesh. And can you understand?
I was looking for me uncle. He was bully as a bear. I could see him in the distance, but I knew he wasn't there.
It was, as it was told, a long time ago in the future, where people did not know they were there, but of course they were, unbeknownst to even the others.
I have often heard it said by my father and my mother that going to a wedding was the makings of another.
Up a bit, up, left. Oh, yes. Oh, up a bit more.
Holy snapping bra straps.
So anyway, it's just called April Foolishness. And I'll tell you the work that I put into producing that episode. There's little bits, all the stuff you're hearing there's only a couple of little pieces in the whole show that are kind of carte blanche, little snippets of things. But the rest of it I did here. I did myself, just mixing and layering and music and sound effects and foolish spontaneous poetry and taking an episode of Dragnet and just totally chopping it up and changing the whole plot line so that the narcotics officers, instead of out trying to shut down the narcotics ring, the whole story is like they're all drug hounds themselves. They're all like out looking for a fix or something.
Yes? Police officers, we'd like to ask you a few questions. What about? Would you mind if we came in and talked to you about it? Everything's okay. Thank you. Do you have any narcotics here in the house? Yes. You mind if we look around?
The Becky phone call, I put some music in behind that and edited it and cleaned it up a bit, and that silly song that I wrote,
oh my God,
rot in a box thing.
You might think that you're real smart, you're real smart, you're real smart. You might think that you're real smart, but you're just an idiot. You might think you're a clever fox, clever fox, clever fox. You might think you're a clever fox, but you're just a moron. Cause all God's creatures gonna rot in a box, rot in a box, rot in a box. All God's creatures gonna rot in a box, deep down in that ground, just crazy. That was spontaneous. So I never sat down with a pen and paper and wrote it. I just literally just. Anyway, you have to hear it, but
yeah, you really do. It's actually, the whole thing's brilliant. I don't know where you had the patience to do it.
Well, I think there's definite signs. If you listen to that episode, you can hear the absolute kind of, I don't know, what do you call it? I guess it's a pushback in a way. Like the universe was kind of rendering us helpless. Remember, I just couldn't get my head around getting things back on track with the computers and everything that was going wrong.
Yeah.
And it was like we were totally out of sync with the universe. There was just a big disconnect. And trying to get reconnected. I was baffled. I'm one of these people who, I think I told the story before, but my dad was coming to visit us one time, called from the airport in Pittsburgh, and he said that he wasn't going to be able to come because he was at the airport and he had no passport, no blah blah blah. Now this is post 9/11, and you're gonna go from the United States into Canada, get on an airplane without a passport. Not going to happen. So anyway, I didn't take no for an answer. I started pacing around and thinking, and I just grabbed the phone and I went crazy. Diligence. I got on the horn and I told him not to budge. He was going to go home and give up. I said, no, you stay at the airport and I'll call you back. And I can't remember how long it took, but I just made phone call after phone call. I was going to phone anybody it took, Didn't matter. To make a long story short, we got him here. So it's that and other things too. But yeah, I don't generally tend to throw my hands up and admit defeat and feel, powerless. I think the whole idea of fate and life and all these things, I think fate is, kind of like, yes, there's a road, yes, there's a path, and there are turns off that path, and there are smoother spots and bumpier bits and all that stuff. And if you watch yourself and you slow down for the bumpy bits and be mindful on the slippery bits and open it up and feel the wind in your hair on the straight and level, dry pavement areas, and don't turn down any of the wrong paths. In other words, what I'm saying is, I think we have choices in life, and at that point, for some reason, we were just powerless. We couldn't do anything. So I think that episode was two things in a way. It was kind of me sort of pushing back at that kind of helplessness, and also, I think in a parallel universe again, in some other reality, that was actually the last episode of The Roar. Mm-hmm. That was it. That was me just throwing my hands up. I give up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was it for a year. And like I said, we'll fill in the gaps. But yeah, I think that was my favorite in from the perspective, in the category of sort of creativity, production, that side of things. I mean, there are other episodes that I really like because of other things, more sort of walking down the street, spontaneity. But from an artistic perspective, I think that one there, I really like that one. And thankfully, it wasn't the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
Uh-huh.
I'm very happy about that.
Yep.
Because it is it's interesting. I mean, it gives your life a perspective. Things you do, places you go. You make a special effort to connect with people.
Yeah.
And get their story, whatever it is, or their comments, or whatever it is. But it's all about that, I think, just talking to other people and music and, just sharing our
life.
Experiences too, our life, what we do.
Life and things and things.
Yeah.
Why don't we just play, just before we move on with that whole thing, let's just listen to this little bit from that April Foolishness. I think the one part that I'll kind of cite here is that kind of sums it up in a way. It's like I was, doing the show, and it had somehow become a monster. There was a bit of Frankenstein going on. I had created a monster, and it wasn't what I wanted it to be anymore, and it had kind of, whatever. So there's this little bit that I'll play here for you now. It's kind of it's just snipped out of some old time radio show from 1939 or something, and I edited it to get it to say what it is what I wanted to say, and that's like all the stuff in that April Foolishness episode. It's all rearranged. You hear stuff. Oh, what was that? Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis 2 today. Well, it's just a piece that I took, the announcement of the death of Elvis Presley, and I just cut it up, literally just cut it up and made it say a whole bunch of other foolishness, But this little piece I'll play for you now here it's like Lillian saying to me, stop it, give it up, don't be at it anymore. It's taking control of you. It's not what you, it's not you anymore, whatever. And I'm saying, no, it's more powerful than me. I can't stop it, whatever, And anyway, let's just roll that here now.
Approach. He's in a trance. Shall we? No, don't touch him. The slightest thing now might turn him into a raging maniac.
You must stop. This awful thing, it isn't you anymore. It's not what you want. You said you loved me. If that's true, you must shake this madness off.
I can't. He's too strong for me.
You can do it. Fight it.
I can't. He's coming. Coming. Can't you hear them? Only one thing left. One thing I can possibly... I smash it and...
For them, the ultimate goal of man was the merging of oneself into a kind of cosmic non-existence. And humanity? We're so insignificant, so worthless. Perhaps nothingness is the greatest goal.
Stop it, do you hear? Look, they're on the floor.
Good Lord.
That's hilarious.
That's pretty funny. But that's really how it felt, really, It was like something that everything had spiraled out of control, including the roar. And I guess that episode was like bits and pieces. Like I wasn't getting any shows out, but I was still in the studio. And I wasn't talking about what was going on in our lives, and Lillian wasn't talking. We weren't out walking around, but I was in here, and I was in the studio, and I was working and editing, and just that's what happened. I kind of went down that, well, and so I ended up just producing all these bits and bobs and pieces, and I just figured, okay, well, enough time had gone by, no episode. Maybe I'll just call this April Foolishness and just throw it up in the air and let the wind catch it. And as it turned out, after I did that, nothing for a year. So anyway, what other episodes?
Well,
what other bits and pieces stick out in memory?
Well, we went back to the beginning, and some of the first few shows were our experience with Atlantic Fest and the exchange with the artists from Ireland and the artists from here, and the festival that we created called Atlantic Fest, and with a closing gala. It was an absolutely amazing musical evening at the Arts and Culture Center.
Music and dance, yeah.
So we recorded all that, and we have all that up on the first few episodes, and also like the party after and talking to all the musicians, and it's really good.
But somehow when the Irish and the Newfoundlanders get together, there's a kind of a natural blending, a magic that I find very, very overwhelming, very, very compelling. Something I can't resist. I find it irresistible,
It's worth going back and listening to. There's I think we had 4 episodes there, maybe 4 or 5, I don't know. Yeah. There's the pre-festival cast, I think. So it's for 2 years. There's 2005 and then there's 2006. So for each of those years, if you look into, whatever, June and, getting on around June of both of those years, you'll see pre-festival cast, Fest Cast 1, Fest Cast 2, Gala Cast 1, Gala Cast 2. That's that whole thing. And It was a great time. It was a great time. I for the first one, I was just recording Midnight Rover. We were just back from 2 trips to Ireland. We had the whole crowd coming over from Ireland, and doing the Roar. We had just started the Roar. This is 5 years ago, 2005. And Midnight Rover, my record, my album Midnight Rover, I did that sort of during that period and launched it like that summer. When did I launch that? It was
2006, wasn't it?
What?
It was 2006, wasn't it?
Don't think so.
No?
Do you have one handy there? No. Oh, we don't have. We don't have
Not
such
here in the
things.
room.
No, floating around.
Maybe this one open.
No, I think it was 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, I don't know how we did all that.
So yeah, it was those episodes are cool to go back and listen to. Go back and listen to those for you all who might be newcomers. In fact, all the episodes. That's the thing. You think of this thing here, however you're getting this, through some sort of program, like iTunes or whatever. If you're getting it through any kind of a program like that, or Juice, or however you're subscribing to the feed, if you are subscribing to the feed. And if you are, that's the best way to do it. You might be just going to our website. Either which way, all the episodes are there, right back to episode 1. Go back and listen. If you've only heard like this one, maybe a couple before this or whatever, go right back to the beginning to episode 1. And there's lots and lots of great stuff there to listen to.
Yeah, Jim really did a good job on the show notes too, so you could even just skim and see.
No.
You know what? No, don't
No,
do that.
just go back and listen to it all.
Okay.
Yes, this isn't, you know, about shopping for chocolates.
True.
Reading the legend, you know, hunting for chocolates in the box. Just they're all good chocolates, I think.
There's some real gems there for sure.
There are, and the rest of it is just passing time with us. You're just hanging out with us, so it's not all razzle dazzle and whatever.
There's a bit of razzle dazzle, but
there's a bit of razzle dazzle from time to time. Yeah, but you know, again, it's that whole business about attention span and everything being right up in your face these days. Everything's flashing, and it's not about any of that. So there is a kind of an ebb and a flow, and there's a dynamic to it. So the slow bits are good, and the zingy bits are good, and you know it kind of moves. You can just kind of kick back, listen, you know, while you're on the plane or the train or the bus or driving or sitting out in your backyard, or you know, listening as you clean up your kitchen, poke around, whatever. Lots of hours and hours and hours of just hanging out with us, pretty much.
Yeah, and one thing for sure, you're going to hear some good music.
There's
music through everything.
There's some good music there too, yeah.
Jim's music is highlighted all over.
And there's some good music there too.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have lots of musical guests, like Eric Bogle we had on the show.
Eric Bogle, yeah. A lot of you guys would have heard several, you know, songs that he's written. The band played Waltzing Matilda and Green Fields of France, you know, Willie McBride, a whole bunch of stuff.
Local musicians, we've had quite a few.
Yeah, Mike Hanrahan, Colleen Power,
Gordon
Quinton.
Who else?
Eddy Grant.
Frank Marr, Eddy Grant, yeah, he's a big one for sure.
Yeah.
That was super interview with him.
Yeah.
So very inspirational as well.
And of course that's there. Like, these don't go away. We don't just put one up and then, you know, if you missed the current one, if you missed the last one, it's only the current. They're all there. All you have to do is just look in your iTunes or whatever you're using, or even if you're doing it on the website, just scroll down and you'll see you can go right back to episode 1.
These are like albums, individual albums, really.
They are, yeah.
They're all different, but they have a thick common theme, like themes going throughout them, I guess. But
and for some reason, you know, I have this instinct. I don't know what it is, but it's almost like a handicap, really, because I don't want to be too time specific a lot of the time. I want to make episodes that you can listen to, you know, 50 years from now. And like a lot of shows, I notice you tune in, and if you heard them once, because they're so time specific, they're talking about, you know, what's happening that day on the news and blah blah blah, whatever. You know, even if you're away on vacation and you come home and you try to listen to that show, and it's 2 weeks old, it's dated.
Yeah.
There's no point in listening to it.
Yeah.
So I do like to try to not have these episodes dated. So being like albums in that sense, not every one of them, but there are several in there that you could listen to again and again.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the same old.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like subtle things going on in there in terms of you know, what's being said, and some little plays on words, and the whole editing and the mixing and the whatever. It's, you could listen to it and catch something that you missed the first go around, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So it's all very nice.
It's all very nice indeed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, as we're talking about it more here, and realizing that each one is like an album, I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot of material, and it's kudos.
Well, yeah, kudos to us. Well, it's like, you know, this is episode 80. So, on average, these things are probably about 75 minutes long, on average. Something like that. So, we're getting up there. We're over 100 hours for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how much, but hey, maybe maybe one of the listeners can tell us that, because I think if you bring it up in iTunes, you can look at total time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's one of the things you can do in iTunes. So someone do that for us. Like, have a look and see what the total, how much Roar is there.
Wow.
It's 80 episodes, and there are a couple of extra little bits thrown in. The Barbados little kind of video that we created. It's a kind of more of a photo album, kind of a photo slideshow. And I did a cover of Sting's "Fields of Gold" on my Midnight Rover album. But for that Barbados thing, all those pictures that Lillian took when she was there, I actually just pulled it up in the studio here and took out one of my low whistles and just replaced the vocals with low whistle, and took some waves and stuff that she recorded while she was there, while Lillian was in Barbados, and of course all the photos, and we put that together. That's up there. That's in the feed. You don't have to go anywhere special to look for that. That's in there.
Mm-hmm.
The
thing you did with NTV.
NTV. The interview I did on TV about podcasting and what it was all about and all that. That's there in the feed. All that wonderful stuff.
Yeah. And if you want to see, if you guys, I'm sure you'd find this interesting, on Jim's website, jimfidler.com, there's, actually, you can just go to YouTube. It's both on his website and on YouTube.
Or Google Video, or...
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch. It's on a whole bunch of those video sites.
Right. It's a performance Jim did last year at the Terra Nova National Park Festival.
Did we put that up in the feed? The video?
No, we didn't, no.
Huh. Well, you're going to have to go to jimfidler.com or Google Video or YouTube, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't... I guess for me, it didn't seem like the Roar. And like I've said here several times before, my idea of, doing the Roar in the first place wasn't, as in many cases, a recording artist who, starts a podcast to promote the records or whatever. That's not at all what I was thinking. No, I mean, that becomes that's a part of it in the background, an incidental part that creeps in, but that wasn't it. It was me. I just wanted to do radio. I'm a radio cat, and that's all there is to that. So, yes, indeed. What other little bits and bobs are there over the little things that jump out at us as we celebrate the Roar's 5th birthday? Woohoo!
We've taken the Roar on little trips. To St. Pierre.
Yeah, there's, in case you don't know, there's a couple of islands just off the south coast here called Saint Pierre et Miquelon, and they're French islands, as in French speaking, but also part of France. And it's somewhere we've been going for how long now?
Oh God.
Well, when did we go first? 92? 93?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't even know if it was 93. I think it was 92.
Yeah.
It was before 93, because that's when we bought this house. And that's when I bummed up my leg and all that.
Yes.
It was the year before that we actually went to St. Pierre, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So 17, 18 years we've been going to St. Pierre, and have a lot of really good friends there. Just like family kind of thing. And we took you on a little trip over there for a Basque festival.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
And we've gone out out through the Narrows here on boat, DJ charters.
We've taken a couple of
watching.
Episodes there where we've taken you out on boat, and you can kind of, just by listening to those shows with headphones on, I mean, you can smell the salt air,
Yeah, and we took you to Barbados even.
And there's Barbados, yeah, not just the Eddy Grant interview, but actually you bombing around in Barbados.
Yeah, and on the plane to on the way to Barbados. That was funny.
You and your Aunt Marjorie.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
what about Eddy Mailbag?
Eddy Mailbag, yeah, we have to absolutely mention Eddy.
Now Eddy was a regular fixture here on the show at a certain point. But he got kind of distracted, I think, some sort of matter of the opposite sex. I think he ended up running off with some girl in Louisville, Kentucky. I think.
What was her name? Crystal? It wasn't Crystal.
Was it? I think it was.
I think it was too.
So he's down there now. I think still. I don't know where he is. He could be in bio country. Eating crawdaddies. I have no idea. But I think that's where he just didn't say much about it. He just kind of like snuck out in the night.
Do you have any old recordings of Eddy?
Yes, I can dig something up.
Yeah, you should.
Well, let me see if I can find... Okay, well, this is kind of where it all started. Let's see what we can find from Eddy. And I'll also play you this little recording here. I think this is where it all started, right here.
Hi, Jim, Lillian, and especially you, Eddy, you handsome devil. This is Crystal, one of the narrators of Mail on the Blind Ghoul Tech podcast. I speak for Larry, Lizume, Shelley, Mars, and I am sure most of the Blind Ghoul Tech listeners when I say we love the roar. Was that me? Excuse me. Sometimes I just get a little too excited, kind of like you, Eddy.
Okay, so you can see that little southern belle there just kind of being all sort of tempting, tempting and provocative and all that stuff. And man, Eddy was he was enraptured. He was, yeah. It wasn't long after that he just kind of, oh, do we have a picture of Eddy anywhere? Where is that picture of him?
It is here somewhere.
Where is it?
Where is it? I think it might even be up here.
Really?
Somewhere.
Have you ever scanned it and put it up?
I don't think so.
Let
me see if I can find it.
Okay.
And if I do, I'll put it on the website.
Okay. Let you guys see what Eddy looks like. Anyway, it wasn't long after that, like I say, that he just kind of Eddy's one of these guys. He's very meticulous about everything. He's into old model airplanes, old Second World War, pre-Second World War, whatever. He's an absolute sparky, he's a ham radio operator. Loves poking and picking and taking things apart. Very meticulous, and wears spectacles and so on and so forth. But he's also very, very shy. That's the thing. I'd have to say he's very smart. He's smart as a whip, all that kind of stuff. Very meticulous, but in the same way, he's kind of timid and shy. And I think he doesn't. I think he blushes easy and stuff like that. So I think he might have even left a note for us or something. And
yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. And he just kind of like snuck out in the night. I'm thoroughly convinced that he went he ended up somehow in Kentucky in search of young Crystal, I think.
It'd be nice to get a note from him, or maybe he'll send us a recording sometime.
Well, Eddy, if you're listening, we'd love to hear from you. So
yes, Eddy, please
let
us know how you are.
Send us a shout out. Some of us, might be some of the old listeners still out there who might be glad to hear from you too. So
yeah.
What else jumps out? Anything else as we sort of wrap up? We just kind of wanted to... This isn't a birthday party. It's more kind of just an acknowledgement, 5-year anniversary. And a big thanks to everybody who's been around for any length of time. And of course, a big welcome to anybody who's just come on board. And, of course, like we said, if you've just come on board and you've only heard a couple of episodes, go right back to episode 1 and listen straight through. And you'll get a real feel for kind of where we were coming from with this whole thing in the first place, where I was coming from right from the beginning in terms of, radio and so on and so forth. And you'll get a good sense, too, of not just kind of who we are, but where we are. You'll get a feel for the Republic of Avalon and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to a concert tomorrow night. I just wanted to throw that in there before we...
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to a concert, indeed. We're going to see the Steve Miller Band.
Yay.
So that's going to be very good.
Yeah, I just read his bio. Boy, he's got quite the history.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Boz Skaggs, he went to high school with, and they were in a band together.
Yep.
And
in fact, Boz Skaggs was the original singer in the group.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a hard time, actually. It seemed like getting any airplay at all until later. He did a lot of things before he became really popular.
Yeah. Oh, that's like a lot of people. Bob Seger was like that too. And so there is hope.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even think like Colin Hay, Men at Work. I don't think he was like 18 when Men at Work broke. I think he was on the other side of 30 at that point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens, this whole business of some sort of, all shiny, this, shiny 18-year-old who has a hit and then nobody ever hears from again or whatever. There are many ways to skin a cat, I think, and, with music, if it's a lifetime thing, if it's a kind of a God gift, something you're born with, then you got your whole lifetime, as long as you can feed yourself, whatever. But just a little word of advice out there, you don't have to sell your soul to the devil and whatever. You can actually take your time and do the music that you feel that you can stand behind, and keep it real.
Yeah, I remember now one thing that I found quite interesting in his bio was he was really doing a lot and working really hard and with a lot of different people, and he had an accident during this whole time. He had a hairline fracture in his spine or something, or in his neck. And he basically was out of commission for about a year. And then when he finally started to get back on his feet, he was just in a depression. Like, he wasn't writing anything, he wasn't doing anything. Anyway, he was home one day and he had a delivery guy come by his house, and the delivery guy knew his music and said, "Do you mind if I play you some of my stuff?" And the delivery guy played him some of his songs, and that was like the turning point where Steve Miller thought to himself, like, I have this gift,
Yeah.
I have a gift, and what am I doing? Am I not going to kind of do anything with it? So that's when he kind of snapped out of his funk. And that's when he just went out and started. He went into the studio, I think, and created all the great music.
And then you hear all that stuff ever since, yeah. Indeed. So we're going to get a chance to see him tomorrow night, and I've been listening to Steve Miller since the very beginning, since when, just after that period that Lillian's talking about, early 70s, and so first time ever for both of us, actually, that we're going to get a chance to see him tomorrow night. So yes, indeed. In the meantime, any other little bits and pieces?
Well, there was very interesting. Yves Sagan did a piece.
Yeah, from Ottawa, sent in a bit. The shuttle launch. They went down to Florida, and they were there for the shuttle launch and recorded that whole thing. That was great. That was that was really cool for me. That was just felt so good to have some a contribution from a listener.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we had a friend of ours, publisher and writer, I guess, Clyde Rose.
Yep.
Come into the studio and give us a reading of a Newfoundland Christmas story.
Yeah, the Afra Wadham's Miracle.
Yeah, and that's classic.
That is classic roar. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
And that's you'll find that in the Christmas. I think they're in all the a few of the Christmas episodes.
Actually, if there's nothing else that you have there, do you have anything else?
No.
Well, let's just wrap things up here, and happy birthday to Roar.
Happy birthday to Roar.
Let's just go to back to the whole idea of fate and life and all these things. And there are some people who just think that everything's just like that. That we live in a universe full of a dead universe full of dead rocks. A godless dead universe full of dead rocks. Plenty of people believe that. And a lot of people say that they believe in this and they believe in that and they believe in whatever, but really they're just kind of not far off of the godless cold dead universe full of dead rocks. But they've got some kind of other little cartoon story and whatever, blah blah, which is fine, whatever. People can believe whatever they want because there's no really, whatever people believe, it doesn't change a thing,
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing. It doesn't, whatever it is, and somebody believing something obtuse doesn't change the way it is. So anyway, let's leave you with this little piece that just kind of illustrates that whole idea of synchronicity or whatever. These experiences that we have all the time and we discard them and try to dismiss them as being coincidence and all these things. Once you've had so many of those and you actually pay attention to them, I don't think it ever stops being amazing, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Never. You keep marveling at it, and it happens to us all the time. Both of us. It's just for whatever reason. These things that people call coincidences, and some of them very, very stunning. We'll have to kind of make a list of them and maybe have a show sometime of all these sort of so-called coincidences.
Uh-huh.
And I think once you guys hear this show, just from the two of us and the things we've experienced, and we might even get people to come in and back us up, and witnesses and people who were aware of these things and whatever, wherever possible. I don't know. Well, I suppose you can just take our words for it. But yeah, if we were to do such a show and you were to hear the stories, you'd be pretty amazed. But this one here we'll leave you with now is it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a song that I composed for my sister Nancy, who drowned in 1978, and my memory of her. When I composed the piece of music, it's on my Midnight Rover CD. Just when I think of her in the backyard behind our house in Conception Bay, out playing in the backyard. And that's really, that to me, and I told Lillian this, I told Lillian that, well, one thing I like to do with music, or I tend to do with music, is paint pictures with sound. And I've had people tell me before, that when they listen to the music, they tell me basically what I've painted. Specific places and specific things with no sound effects or nothing, just music, and they get it. Well, this one here was, like I said, a piece of music, and I did tell you before this, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that this was basically a sound painting of my sister Nancy playing outdoors in the summertime in the backyard behind our house. And the following little bit that we'll leave you with is a letter that came from Helen in Colorado, who teaches, I forget exactly what it's called, or she did at the time anyway, maybe she still does.
Montessori, is it something Montessori school or? Okay.
It's just working with small children and in terms of, I guess, centering them and calming them down and giving them, focus and things like that, whatever. And this was a letter that she sent us, an email, not knowing anything whatsoever. Anyway, you guys judge it for yourselves. And happy birthday to the Roar. Happy 5.
Happy birthday, Roar. We love you.
Yeah, and we love all you guys too.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for you guys, what would be the point?
There would be no point at all. So
there you go.
Let's go to Lillian's reading of the letter from Helen in Colorado, and all the best to everybody. And let's roar on.
Yes. I have a story to share that felt like it should have a topic all its own. I received a copy of Midnight Rover last weekend from a good friend. Thank you. And fell in love with it right away. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a Montessori teacher. I have a class of 20 3 to 5-year-olds. I took my new CD to school with me the next morning. I had it on as the children were arriving. They danced. One asked, "Miss Helen, is this more Newfoundland music?" "Why, yes." "Miss Helen, this isn't Alan, is it?" "Well, no. His name is Jim Fidler," I told them. They got out their percussion instruments and enjoyed moving and making music along with the CD. As we begin our work time each day, we start by making collective silence. For months, we've listened to Deep Peace from my Celtic Twilight CD for silence. Last week, I told them I had a new and very beautiful piece of music. I told them it was written about a 3-year-old little girl. I lit the candle, they crossed their legs, put their hands on their knees, closed their eyes, and took a deep breath. I Still Remember played. They made very beautiful, very deep, still silence that day, the best I've ever seen. When it was over, no one spoke. They sat there smiling and staring at the light of the candle. They are usually beginning to squirm. That day they sat, they breathed deeply, very relaxed. One little 4-year-old girl spoke up in a whisper. "That was beautiful music. I could see her, Miss Helen. She was playing outside." Chills. I wanted to cry and laugh and hug her all at once. We have listened to it ever since at silence every morning. I have played John O'Dreams, Fields of Gold, Lillian, Waterford River, I Remember, and other instrumentals for their nap time music. Since I have received this CD, it has become the soundtrack of my classroom. Thanks for such a lovely gift and for such beautiful music. Helen.
a Root Cellar production.